Hi, I'm Shan Hogan. I am your kid's math teacher this year, probably, if you're watching this video, or you just really felt like watching this video. I don't know. So I'm going to quickly talk about a few of the really big basic things that are true in all of my classes. So the first big thing is that I run a flipped classroom. What this means is that instead of me standing at a board and talking to your kids about math, they watch video lessons I created the night before we cover a topic in class, take notes, and then the next day they show up to class ready to work on problem sets. This is because as somebody who's pretty decent at math, the best way that your students can use me is to ask me the questions that are more complicated and confusing to them. They need me less to set a foundation in front of the whole class where I'm not individually giving student feedback, and they need me more where I can walk around the room, sit next to them, and work on something. So after they watch these video lessons, they come to class the next day, and every Monday they get a weekly problem set, right? And so this one happens to be for AP AB Calc, but it could be anything. And they work on the problems in these problem sets. And the answers to each problem set are either in the sheet itself, so in this case, this one's on the bottom, or they're linked in my syllabus. In the case of Algebra 2 and Pre-Calc, they're not actually printed on the packet in that case. Your students have access to all of the problem sets for the whole year, as well as all the videos, all of the answers to the problem sets, and all of the reviews for my exams in the syllabus. They're all hyperlinked. They also have access to a pacing guide that helps them know where we'll be at any given point in time. Although I do go over that in person as well every day. I put up a schedule for what the next several weeks looks like. It means that since everything's linked to my syllabus, you could even take my math course if you stubbornly really want to take high school calculus for some reason. I don't know. So students come into class, they sit in groups of 4 to 5 people, and they work on their problem set. Every day our objective is the same, communicate mathematical understanding. And everybody might be at a slightly different spot, because over the course of a week, we have a certain set of sections that we're covering. Fridays are always a work day for your students, which means that if kids get a little bit behind, they have that time to catch up before they turn in materials. This problem set is due every Friday. And your students can either hand it in as a group, which is encouraged because they should collaborate on math when possible. Math is more fun with other people doing it. Or they can hand it in individually. Some groups, every single kid, they all work together, but all 4 of them hand in a packet to me. Other groups, they all work together and they rotate who turns in the packet each week, and that's fine. If they turn in a group project or a group set of packets, they all get the same grade. If they turn them in individually, half the time they all get the same grade anyway because they work together. As they watch these lesson videos in my class, so for instance, if on Tuesday we're doing section 1.2, then on Monday night or before Tuesday, maybe it was Sunday night or whenever, your student should watch the 1.2 video or videos and take notes. I don't care what the notes look like as long as they're on topic. So some kids write every single thing I say in a video, every problem, every practice problem, every example, every word. Some kids write very sparing notes that are only the stuff that they feel like they need, and that's totally fine. As long as the kids' notes are on topic, I don't mind. I think people need to learn what works for them. So they take the notes, they come in and do the problem set. I walk around the room and help them. Some periods I'm lucky enough to have student interns that also took calculus and they can walk around and help too, which is glorious and awesome. Every Friday, I give a small quiz. It is open note and open packet, and students can use all of the materials they have. They just can't work together. This way, when students collaborate on a problem set, I can gauge if maybe they were working together on the problem set, but someone was really struggling, and I just couldn't see it because it was a group assignment, so I don't know who was struggling, but when I see the quiz, I know who is struggling. On these weekly quizzes, if your student gets below a 70%, they can correct it to get a 70. So if a student gets a 5 out of 10, they can correct it to get those extra 2 points back to help their grade and also to help them understand stuff. Students should pretty much keep everything I hand back to them because it's a great way to study, and Algebra 2 and Calculus are going to come up again if your student goes into any math stuff. So it's a good idea to have the materials. At the end of every chapter or unit, we take a test. There are review materials linked in my syllabus, and they're not required, but they're encouraged. People do better on the test if they do the review. I will take the review for a grade on the day of the test. Kids get 10 out of 10 if they do it, and they get excused if they don't. So the review can't hurt them, but it can help them both with the 10 out of 10 grade and also with the fact that they will do better on the exam if they seriously do the review and work hard on it. Other big things in my class, I'm all about students learning how to self-manage their time. So I give a pacing guide of what we're going to do in a week. I don't care if your student chooses to front load it and do all the notes for all 3 or 4 sections on Sunday night. Sure. I don't care if they're doing some every night. I don't care if they get a little bit behind as long as they're able to right themselves and get back on track. That's one of the reasons I built the workday in on Friday. I think a big thing that I struggled with when I went from high school to college, and maybe even also college to a job, is learning how to self-manage my time. And I hear that from my students every year when they come back. After they graduate, those that really understood how to self-manage their time feel like they're a lot more stable and more on their feet in college. And the students that come back and were really struggling to self-manage in school are still, having a bit rougher transition in college. So the goal is to teach your kids that you work when you can and you try to get ahead so that if there's a time when you can't work because you have to go to your job, or you have a big paper due in your English class, or that you have a sports game or whatever, that you've already managed to get yourself in a good position. And it's different for everybody. So a big part of my class is figuring out what works for you personally, what works for your notes, what works for your exam studying, what works for your pacing. And that's kind of the thing, is I want kids to figure out what works for them, because I want them to be happy, functional humans that manage this crazy, stressful thing we call life and school well. And hopefully I can help them do that. So that's kind of the gist of my class. Kids do, in my AP classes, kids do test corrections on every exam. They're mandatory because the AP questions are really hard and I need your students to correct their exams. They get an automatic AP curve for doing those corrections. And in my Algebra 2 Pre-Calc class, you'll see in the syllabus that students that get below, excuse the bell, students that get below a certain score on my exams can do corrections to get a higher score, and which both helps them learn stuff that they were struggling with and also gives them a safety net. So it's really hard to fail my class. Any of them. It's also really hard to get an A. So students work really, really hard to push and get that A. That's exceptional. And students also have to work pretty hard making bad choices if they want to fail. Most students earn C's or B's in my class. That's pretty much the standard. It's pretty hard to get a D or an F. And I try really hard to reach out to kids early if I see that they're struggling and not staying on with the pacing and not reaching out to me or to peers if they need help. So that's kind of the deal. I probably talk longer than I'm supposed to. I really hope I get to see you at back to school night on Thursday. I'm sorry I talk so fast, but at least in a video you can slow me down, which is another advantage to the video lessons and also to this video message. Have a great day.